Okay, I got it figured out. That should have done it. Sorry about that. Yeah, I had the mic switched over from when I was recording something else. So that should have taken care of it. But yes, as you all may have guessed from the thumbnail, I've got some exciting new collabs coming around the corner. And I was just saying, as people are coming in, I want to give everyone a chance to get settled and all that. Awesome. I'm glad you can hear me now. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what happened earlier this week. I know we're only 2 days into the week, but it's already been a very eventful week. So yesterday morning, first thing in the morning, I go to traffic court. There's a ticket that I need to contest. And so, for anyone who hasn't been in traffic court before, apparently what they do is just have everybody bunched up into one courtroom and they just try to knock out all the cases as quickly as possible. And so they call each officer, and each officer has a certain number of people that they've given tickets to in the intervening period. The judge is taking care of those. And I'm feeling pretty confident. I feel like I have a good argument and that I'm able to get the charges dismissed. And then, there's a lot of people in there, and we probably get through maybe 30, 40 cases. And then, we're like an hour and a half into this process. And then the judge asks, is there anybody here for this particular officer? That was the officer that had given me the ticket. And I raised my hand. I was like, yeah, I'm waiting for him to show up. And they tell me that the officer is sick and that I need to leave and come back another day. So, spent all morning there, woke up early, got dressed a lot nicer than I ever do, honestly, and it was all for nothing. So that was my time in court, and I'm glad generally to be on the more analysis side of legal stuff rather than experiencing it. But legal system doesn't really care. I felt like they could have told me right at the beginning, like, hey, this officer is not there. You can come back another time. I would have been fine if they had told me right at the beginning, but to wait, I know, an hour and a half and then be told that. There was a guy behind me who said that, yeah, Jennifer, I was hoping that he would have just dismissed it. That would have been nice. But the guy behind me, who was also with that same officer, was really fuming. He had his kid with him, so he had waited with his kid, and this is like, you're not allowed to have any phones or any devices in there, so everyone had literally just been waiting and listening. So he said he was originally scheduled to be in court on Friday. They had continued it from that last week to Monday, and then the officer didn't show up that day, so he said he had lost 2 days of work for that. And so I'm glad that I have the privilege of just rescheduling my clients to be at another time instead of having to miss out on work. But he had actually lost money because of what the court was doing, and so I really felt for him. He was pissed, and hope that he gets stuff taken care of and that he doesn't take too much of a financial hit because of that. But yeah, that was really an experience. I just say that there's not any bigger lesson or moral except to drive carefully and not get ticketed. But I was just sharing that just so we could let people get settled in before I share some of our news. So with that, let me transition into talking about what we're going on with this channel, what directions we're going towards. As you all probably saw as it came out yesterday, I did a collaboration with Dr. Stacy Leadham. She is a researcher on Asian American and Pacific Islander mental health, and so she had a lot of great insights to share about that. So that is one of the collabs that we did. Yeah, Jennifer and Aaliyah. Yeah, on top of the frustration, yeah, there's a real financial cost for people who can't just move their work schedules around. So absolutely, that's very difficult. Um, yeah, so I'm starting to schedule some interviews with different people within the mental health care space, doing different kinds of research or working with different kinds of populations or different interventions, so that as we talk about mental health advocacy, people can know what's out there, what the research is saying, how we can search for interventions and tools that best work for us, as not just the stuff that I use, the stuff that I know is going to work for people. So that's been really exciting. A I've got an interview set up with another therapist who does EMDR, as well as talks about perfectionism and people pleasing, particularly for millennials. And so I think that's going to be a very enlightening conversation and might hit a little too close to home for a lot of us. But I'm excited to get that done. So the really big news. This was a couple of days ago, sometime last week. I got an email, and this email, the subject line was like invitation from Dan Abrams's Law and Crime Network. So I was like, okay, like, what are they inviting me to? So I opened it up, and it was an invitation to record a podcast with the Law and Crime Network based on what they had seen of the coverage and the reactions that I did to a lot of the Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrand videos. So they want me to go on the channel and talk about some of that stuff, some of the trauma related issues for the Frankie children, as well as the influence that Jody Hildebrand has had on so many people. And so I am super excited to be able to share that with you all. And I was really, I could not believe that I got that email in the first place. I didn't know if it was a scam or something, but it is scheduled, and we are going to be recording that on Thursday at 1 o'clock. I know, especially for all of you who are members or subscribers and who have been watching these live streams from the beginning, I really appreciate the support that you all have given that has got us to this point where people or big channels are reaching out and scheduling these interviews, and that's just really amazing, and I'm really humbled and feel really privileged to be a part of that. Jennifer, I don't know when it will air. I know it's recording Thursday, and I'll record something on my end too to do a little commentary and reaction to the stuff that I'm saying, and just from like a different angle too. But for their video, I'm not sure. I did ask expressly, because I want to respect their production process, I did ask them if it was okay for me to announce that I was recording with them, and they gave me the okay. So I assume that it's going to air at some point, and I'm sure they want to be timely with it as well. So that's kind of where we're at. That is one of the big collabs that we are looking at, and that is the biggest news that I've had in this past week. I will definitely be posting the link on the community tab. I'll put my end of the recording on the channel as well, and put that on the Instagram as well. I am definitely making sure that everybody sees that. I definitely hope it'll help it grow. Thank you all so much for supporting me and sharing your congratulations on that. It feels really cool to have the work that we've been doing here be validated, and for you all encouraging me as I keep making videos about different parts of the similar topic with this Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrand case, to encourage me to keep doing that and get to this point where it got noticed by the Law and Crime Network. So in other news, there was another partner that I reached out to, and this partner is called Elomia Health, and they are a company based out in California that are creating an AI therapy chatbot. And I know I've talked about this idea before, but I was actually able to connect with somebody on their team who has given me full access to it. So one of the hurdles that I ran into early on filming was I was using a demo version, and halfway through recording not even halfway through the video, like 25% through the video, I ran out of messages. Like there was a message cap on the demo tool. So I've got full access to the app now. And one of the exciting things is that they're partnering with me to help kind of sponsor that video, so that I'll get a link that you all can use to, if you would like to, sign up for the app subscription and then get a discount off of that using my code. So that is still in the works, but in terms of like having an agreement that that will happen, that is all in place. You spoke about AI in class? No way. Okay, so I was in school before AI was really a thing. So Jennifer, if you don't mind doing a bit of typing, I'm curious what you all talked about in terms of AI. But as you're typing that out, if you are willing to do that, one of the things that this this representative for the company talked about was that they are envisioning that elomia could eventually take the place of a person, an individual human therapist, which is scary and kind of cool at the same time. They said that right now it's just in the chat stages, so you have to type and you'll get a written response back. But because the voice recognition and voice abilities for AI are expanding so much that they envision that sooner rather than later you could do basically what are phone calls with an AI, and they'll even throw in fillers like and so it sounds more human. Digital justice, that's really cool. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, that AI won't replace the therapeutic rapport. But the way that this guy was talking about the technology, I was a little concerned because then he started talking about how, with basically kind of deep fake kind of technology, they should use my common voice. But basically, they said like with the kind of video generating technology that eventually you could graduate to like video calls with an AI and it would respond to your facial expressions, and that it would also have a face to project to you, which again, kind of scary, kind of cool. Well, here's the thing, right? Like I'll give elomia a test drive, and then we'll kind of be able to see with where the technology is at right now what it can do well and what it cannot do well. Oh, yeah. So, Aaliyah, what you're talking about, yeah, with CBT, definitely, I think CBT and DBT kind of theories translate the best for. Oh, hey, Kitty wants to join. Translate the best for AI. Hold on. Oh, because there are some very specific steps and scripts that you can kind of use. I'd be interested to see what an AI program for like psychodynamic would do. I think that could be kind of scary. But oh, one interesting thing that I got in that conversation with that representative from Alomia was that he was saying that as they tested AI on like games and stuff, that there was always a point when the AI in games like chess or things like that, that the AI would make a move that no human had made before. So it could generate something completely new based on the information that it has. And for those of you who are in the counseling field or in the mental health space, there should be some alarm bells going off for that, because one of the reasons that we're licensed and held to standards is so that we're providing evidence-based treatment. We don't just get to make up stuff and do whatever we want with our clients, or we're not supposed to, okay? But so I think there's a huge risk there that if AIs do get to that point where they can generate something completely new, then suddenly you're not in the realm of what it's programmed to do. There's a potential liability there for it to provide interventions that are not evidence-based. AI generate hallucinations? Oh, well. See, now if you have AI therapists with their own neuroses, then how are you improving that from just normal human therapists? But yeah, so I mean, in terms of like AIs playing games, I think that's pretty cool. But when you're talking about healthcare, then yeah, absolutely, there's a potential for some problems there. So right now, what they're envisioning Alomia being able to do is to bridge the gap as mental health care. So like for people maybe who need some maintenance, or need direct access on like a 24/7 basis, that's something that AI can be very helpful for right now because you don't have to book an appointment. It's always available. And, price is less of an issue. So I think their going rate is like $100 for the year. So if you compare that to like, that's maybe like 2 or 3 copays. So if it works for you to help maintain your mental health, to have someone to talk to and just kind of talk things through and get some validation and feedback, that right now it kind of inhabits that space as a quick intervention that's not super involved and deep yet. It's not trying to diagnose at this point. It's not trying to do really deep work. But again, I'll be testing it out and seeing what that's like. Uh, so Aaliyah, as you're talking about like the diagnosis piece, that's the part I'm really interested in because for those of you who have been in therapy before or who are on the diagnosing side of therapy, there are questions that we have to ask to kind of get at what's actually causing this. Is the anxiety related to substance abuse? Is it related to trauma? Is it related to something else? Or is it anxiety standing alone by itself? And so what I'm curious about, and one of the things I really want to test is kind of the diagnosing power of this app, is to present something and see if it digs past just what I present to it and how much insight a client would have in order to make full use of it. But yeah, as we're talking about this, I'm curious what kinds of questions you all would have if you had, or like what kinds of things you'd want to test for an AI chatbot, because that would help maybe inform some of the experiments that I do with it, some of the prompts that I run it through. I'll just hang out with Kitty while you all type stuff out. Y'all can probably hear him purring through the mic. While you all are thinking about that, I'm still trying to figure out how to gift memberships. This was a thing that like got announced by YouTube in December, and I've wanted for the longest time to just be able to give them out so people can give a test drive to it, but I just don't know where it would be. It responds in a way you'd approve of with regards to suicidal ideation. Yeah, absolutely, Aaliyah, as you're talking about. Suicidal ideation is definitely going to be one of the tricky ones. I think that's like a very low bar that it has to clear in order to be able to work with people in the mental health space. Like you have to have something that responds accurately and well. Maybe like either doing like an initial assessment or I don't know, somehow being able to connect with local emergency services. And I guess I want to be careful when I test it out because I don't want to be involuntarily committed, but we'll see. That's definitely something I want to test out. I was talking about my personal mom's guilt. Oh, kept referring to my mother. I need to know slang. Interesting. Okay, so Jennifer, it sounded like when you were testing the AI therapy chatbot, that it got confused with when you were talking about mom guilt. And then Jennifer, it would need to know slang. AI may become stuck in the past. Let's be honest. My clients who are in high school speak a completely different language than I do. So, yeah, I think that's true for all therapists, having to keep up at least with being able to speak accessibly with the people that you're working with, whether that's people who are a generation older, a generation younger, that kind of thing. So I guess that's fair. Okay. So Jennifer, maybe testing out some of the more subtle hints that somebody might use to indicate that they're feeling hopeless or considering suicide, and then seeing if it catches onto those hints. Those are definitely things I could focus on. Multi-generational slang. Do you all expect this from your therapists? Because I'm gonna need to do a little bit of extra continuing education on. I guess maybe I just need to be on TikTok then. But yeah, I think there is something to be said for like it helps if it sounds more human. If it sounds very robotic and yeah, it does not come off very smoothly, then that could definitely be a barrier to developing rapport. And I guess I'm curious what. I guess this will be something that comes up in the comments when we eventually do that video. Is what what do we think about a person developing an attachment or a rapport with an AI? Because there are times when clients will become attached to me in therapy or clients to therapists in general, and that can be good or detrimental for the counseling relationship, but it's something that naturally happens. What if someone kind of bonds with the AI? Huh. Give the power to teach its slang. That would be interesting, Aaliyah, like you're talking about, because do you feel like it would shape the way it speaks to each individual person? Because my understanding is that an AI bot could probably do that based on the conversations, the types of language that it has with, maybe it's working with a 17-year-old and like a 60-year-old. Would it be able to speak differently to each one, or would it just have the same kind of vocabulary and sound like it's part of a certain generation? Yeah, I'm not sure about that question because I think it was Jennifer that was saying earlier, like that therapeutic rapport is kind of what we're banking on to keep human therapists immune from AI replacing us in the future. But if people can feel like they can bond with an AI chatbot, then that maybe changes things. And I don't know about all the implications of whether that's good or bad yet. Maybe that'll be something that I talk about with some of my guests here on the podcast soon. Oh. Ooh, cultural or racial biases. Interesting. Yes. Because like even as we're talking about with like the video with Dr. Leadham recently, there are specific cultural messages and biases built into mental health and psychological theories. I think the easiest example is like enmeshment, where like a lot of Asian families will live together in multiple generations in one house, taking care of the parents or supporting them and that kind of stuff. And that can be considered enmeshment in kind of like traditional Western psychological theory, but is actually just part of the culture for a lot of Asian cultures. And so yeah, I guess it would depend on how it's programmed with different psychological theories, whether those biases kind of show through when it's treating people of different races or cultures. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I wonder if I could bring in like a cultural issue. Well, you all know my Instagram. DM me some ideas that might be a normal kind of cultural oversight that maybe people would navigate. You would expect people to navigate better than an AI. I'm curious about that. Ooh, yeah, high control religions and family systems, absolutely. Kitty, what are you doing? Hmm. This might turn into a very long video when I'm done with it. Though I definitely think the issues with like assessment for suicide and being able to pick up on more subtle hints that people are feeling hopeless would definitely be something to test it on. Again, I think the issues with cultural bias is going to take a little more thought for how I might present that and test the AI bot with it, but it's definitely something that's worth following up on. So thank you all for your ideas. I appreciate that. Like I said, you all should have my Instagram, and you can DM me some ideas that maybe you think of later or I didn't get to today. But yeah, I just wanted to hop on the live and share with you all some of the really exciting stuff that's happening for this channel. Again, I'm so glad that you all have been here along for the ride and kind of get to see where we're at right now. It's really cool. It's almost like one of those moments in counseling with one of my clients where Kitty, stop, where I actually ask them to look back and think like, hey, where did you start at? Where were we at when we started? And then they look back and they're like, oh, shoot, like we've actually gone really far. Jennifer, sorry you had issues, but thank you for joining. Hope you have a good class. But yeah, it's really cool to be able to look back and think like, this is like less than a year ago we started this channel. You all formed like the basis of this community that's grown things to the point where other channels are inviting us to be a part of their production, be a part of their conversation, and that's just really humbling and exciting. So thank you all for being a part of that. But yeah, I think Kitty's getting kind of restless, and that's kind of, I just wanted to let you all be the first to know that this is what's happening. And I hope to have a link for you all for the full video from the Law and Crime Network soon. So thank you for hopping on. Appreciate you all's time, and I will see you again later.